Good everyone, Trainer Maxim with you. Thank you very much for joining me for the session. Today we're going to learn how to do press to handstands. Before we start, as always, I thank everyone who supports my channel. Thank you everyone, guys and girls. Thank you for your suggestions, comments, corrections of my videos. That's great. Thank you for your generosity. Super thanks. Support angels. Thank you. Thank you everyone. Ready to go? But before, let's make sure that we have a couple of things in place. First thing is our tall spine. Very important part. Tall spine means that upper spine is going up, lower spine is going down. Thereby, we want to engage the spinal muscles here so that they can glue vertebrae to one another, providing us with the nice structure of the spine to make sure that the spine cannot crunch or cannot arch. Otherwise, if you crunch all the time or arch all the time, the spine will not be stable and there will be no gymnastic skills, no boxing, no running, no anything. So at all time, you're trying to think upper spine up, lower spine down. Perfect. The second part, to help the spine stay neutral in that position, we really would like to engage the diaphragm muscle. Diaphragm muscle is the muscle which resides inside the rib cage here, kind of attached to the entire circumference of the rib cage, and it typically pushes the rib cage into the expansion, mild expansion. It is responsible for the respiration, but that muscle also can provide us with a nice structural support for the spine, meaning that when the diaphragm is tightened inside the rib cage has a very hard time collapsing into the stomach. So helping thereby the spine stay very stable. With a stable spine and the diaphragm engaged, chances are that you will not be able to crunch a lot because it's very difficult to push the rib cage in with the inflatable ball sitting right inside your diaphragm. Without the diaphragm, even with the tall spine, you still might collapse the spine into the crunch because there is nothing supporting the rib cage here. There are no bones here. No structural support whatsoever. So the diaphragm will provide that structural support. With the diaphragm, the torso will be very hard to crunch. And because the spinal support is there, the diaphragm is engaged, the spinal muscles are engaged, now we have a very nice opportunity to make sure that our core, all four muscles of the core, are engaged properly. Properly means that when four muscles are trying to engage, they're not collapsing the diaphragm into the stomach and pulling the pelvis forward. So this is not a hollow body hold. It's a crunch spine. We don't like it. And it happens because there is no diaphragm support and the core muscles are attached to the rib cage here and to the pelvis here. So they use these two guys as attachment points. Any muscle pulls to its middle while it's shortening. So when you try to engage the core, the front, the obliques, the transverse, chances are that by shortening, the core will easily take the diaphragm, take the rib cage into the stomach, 1, and pull the pelvis up, 3. So now that's not a good core engagement because with this position, only the front of the core is engaged. Only the 4 or 6 pack muscle is engaged. No obliques, no transverse, nothing. Because these guys are kind of smooshed. They need some space. On the other hand, when you have the spine tall, spinal muscles holding the spinal structure, the diaphragm supports that spinal structure. Now, when you engage the core, the diaphragm keeps the rib cage in place and all the 4 muscles of the core can be engaged properly. Nicely, you have support in the obliques, support in the front, everything is working correctly. So, tall spine, diaphragm engaged, core engaged. That turns your torso into one solid piece that can be moved at once in any direction. When the torso holds its shape, we can do whatever we want. Planches, we can do iron cross, we can do press to handstands, handstands, you name it. Because the core makes sure that the spine cannot arch. Like arching is very difficult to do with the core holding you. On the other hand, the diaphragm and the spinal muscle engagement makes sure that the spine cannot crunch because now the core engages and cannot pull the rib cage in. And this way we turn the torso into a monolith, one solid piece which can be moved by any muscles into the press to handstands, handstands or anything else. And also with this torso we have an opportunity to keep the shoulders open, the final piece. When your spine is supported by the rib cage, core engaged. You make sure that the shoulders are not collapsed forward, but sitting slightly to the back. And you do this by thinking, okay, let's pull the blade diagonally down to the mid-spine here to engage the lower trapezius muscles. And after you're picturing kind of pushing the armpits forward, or you can think imprint the inner edge of the blade into the rib cage here to engage the serratus anterior muscles. So that will open up your shoulders a little bit. And because the shoulders are open, why we need it? With the open shoulders, we can bring the arm almost in one line with the torso due to the structural specificity of the joint. Because when the shoulders are forward like this, the blade is tilted forward and the bone of the arm will physically get stuck against the blade, not being able to climb all the way up. So compare, even with the rigid spine, shoulders forward, my arm naturally stops here. Well, no luck for any handstands. But if I keep my shoulders open, then my arm can go all the way up and line itself with the torso in one line, giving us a very nice alignment. And the combination of all those four things, tall spine, supported by the diaphragm expansion, mild expansion, 10-15%, supported by the core, and supported by the open shoulders, with all these four things in place, we can do any skills we want. We can do handstands, press to handstands, and so on. On the tall spine, I have the video. On the diaphragm, I have the video. On the hollow body hold, I have the video. And on the open shoulders, I have the video explaining in more detail how and what happens when you do that properly. Please check it out. Now let's move on toward the demonstration. How we do a press to handstand. It's pretty much simple if you know what you're doing. You go down the floor, you place the hands here, you take the stance here, and you go up, and you stay there, and you go back. Pretty much straightforward, but only when you know how it really works. It's not a perfect form. There is a much better variation of the press to handstands, but we're going to learn and train toward any handstand, press to handstands, for the first time. And after we will be polishing it, because no one has ever learned a perfect handstands from press to handstands from the first attempt. Typically, you learn whatever press you can do, and after, with the gymnastic conditioning drill, you start polishing your toe point, polishing your compression strength, polishing your alignment, polishing everything, shoulder strength, etc. But for the first time, you just need to get the idea of the press to handstands, how to move the body up, how to think, what muscles to engage, and so on. And that is exactly what we're going to do today. So first, let's understand how we really move the body up. Because the thing is, the spine on its own cannot move itself in space back and forth. The spinal muscles have no ability to do so. The spinal muscles can arch the spine or crunch the spine with the help of the muscles. But there are no muscles which would pull the spine forward or back. The spinal muscles are touched spine, spine. When they're shortened, they cannot pull the spine sideways or left or right or back or forth. They can only change the shape of the spine. They contract, they crunch it or arch it or in the front, but that structure is incapable of moving in space back and forth. That's number one very important thing. The spine cannot move itself. So we need to find an opportunity how to bring the spine into the upright position using the other muscles of the body, which are attached to the spine indirectly, directly, and to something else in the body. And in our case, it's the shoulder muscles, the upper trapezius, mid trapezius, and the lower trapezius muscles. Those muscles are very crucial for the press to handstands, but only if you're applying them correctly. So let me show you what happens when the spine cannot hold its structure, when you have no diaphragm support, when spinal muscles not supporting, so the spine really can bend with ease. Let's say you go here and you do this position and you try to press with the shoulders, but the more you press, the more the spine crunches. And now the spine has a very flimsy structure. It cannot hold itself in one piece, so it starts sagging. So with this spine, there is no luck to bring the spine upright whatsoever. That's why we need the tall spine. We need to make sure that when you're in this position, the spine holds its shape, just like this, spinal muscles tall, rib cage supported, and now somehow the spine can stay vertical, supported magically in the air, but not by the spinal muscles and the rib cage. The spinal muscles and the rib cage, the diaphragm, just make sure that the spine does not crunch all time and keeps its shape. Now, the magic happens with the shoulder muscles. Remember I mentioned the open shoulder concept, how we engage the lower trapezius muscle here, one of them, right? And shoulders forward. So picture the lower trapezius muscles are engaged, meaning that lower trapezius muscles are shortened a little bit. Now, when the lower trapezius stays shortened like this, and the lower trapezius is attached to the mid-spine here and to the shoulder blade here in the back, and we're shortening this muscle, not letting this tension go. With this open shoulder position, very important moment, open shoulder position, we start doing a variation of a shrug. I will tell you later how to do the shrug properly. When you engage in the upper trapezius with the mid trapezius here, so mid trapezius drags the shoulder to the spine, upper trapezius drags the shoulder up here. If you don't let the tension in the lower trapezius go, if the lower trapezius stays shortened, then by extension, by doing so, while you're shrugging, the lower trapezius will pull your spine back. Let's say if I'm standing like this, shoulders open, spine supported, and I'm performing good shrug. See what's going to happen. 1. See how my body went this way. I was not faking it. I was not doing a hip hinge. Just because I did not let the tension in the lower trapezius go, the lower trapezius stayed shortened, the spine held its shape, and by engaging the upper trapezius, I'm transferring the force, the pulling force I created with the upper trapezius onto the spinal structure through the shortened, through the tense structure of the lower trapezius. And that is how the spine is going up. Spine is not going up on its own using the spinal muscles. Spine is dragged upright with the muscles of the upper body, trapezius specifically. And if you don't hold the tension in the lower trapezius muscles, see what's going to happen. Here, no tension, shoulders kind of open, but the moment I start doing the shrug, I let the lower trapezius go and let it be stretched, elongated by the upper trapezius. See what's going to happen. 1, 2. I cannot transfer the force I'm creating by the upper trapezius onto the spine because essentially whenever the upper trapezius pulls up, my lower trapezius stretches. It's like a picture you're trying to lift a kettlebell with the band, with the flexible band attached to it. So anytime you pull on the band, the kettlebell still stays on the floor because the band is not transferring the force you create with your arm due to its flexibility. The more you pull on the band, the more the band stretches and the kettlebell stays on the floor. But on the other hand, if you grab a belt, inflexible piece of material, and attach it to the dumbbell, and you pull on the belt cannot be stretched, and that inability of the belt to stretch will make sure that you transfer your force you're creating with the arms onto the kettlebell, onto the weight you're lifting, thereby producing a nice lift off. And that's exactly what we're doing to the spine by keeping the tension in the lower trapezius muscle because the shoulders are staying open. We're engaging the upper mid trapezius muscles to shrug, and the lower trapezius transfers that force onto the spine, pulling the spine into the upright position. And when the spine holds its shape, stays in one line because of the tall spine and the diaphragm engagement, then the whole structure is nicely going up. So as you can see, the press to handstands is not really that you do these skills, press, and the legs are going up. Nope, not yet. Legs are just attached to the spine. Spine is going up. The legs are being lifted off the floor passively. And only when you achieved some certain position with the spine, you start bringing the legs sideways. We will talk sideways and up. We will talk about this shortly. So in the first place, we need to understand that the spine is being passively dragged up by the shoulder muscles under those conditions I've just mentioned. So in a way, with my stick, let's say my stick is very flexible. This is my torso. See how my stick is having some sort of flexibility quality to it. So when with my hand I pull it up, it still stays on the floor, and it's very heavy. And I feel the faster I go, the more crunch I have. Okay, that's not good. And that's what happens when your spine cannot hold its structure. So yes, the lower trapezius here is rigid. The upper trapezius is elevating the shoulders. The lower trapezius is trying to get the spine up, but the spine is flimsy, so no luck. Versus, I turn the stick like this, turning it into a very nice rigid structure, and now with ease I can bring it up, no problem. Only if the stick can hold its structure. And that's it. That's essentially the whole secret of press to handstands. And the second secret is the lower trapezius stays engaged here, so that the upper trapezius, by dragging the shoulders a little bit up, transfers its lifting force, its contraction onto the spinal structure. Lower trapezius holds, and the spine is going passively up. Spine holds its structure, lower trapezius is holding its tension, upper trapezius, middle trapezius trying to elevate the shoulders, and by doing so, they're pulling on the spine up. And the magic happens. So let's have a look at this. I'm keeping the spine rigid, rib cage supported by the diaphragm, spine tall, go down, shoulders open, kind of pressing the shoulders a little bit down relative to the spine, kind of to my tailbone. And at the same time, I'm trying to shrug. One. Shrugging. And see how this dirty press to handstand becomes very easy. My legs just dangling there. They're attached to the spine is rigid enough, my shoulders are strong enough, and I'm tilting all the structure up by not letting the shoulders go, by engaging my mid-upper trapezius. And that's it. That's the press to handstands. However, a couple of small things here. In the first place, we need to make sure, of course, that your hands, your fingers, can make sure that the forearms are not falling forward, because the fingers are a crucial component of any gymnastic skills on the hands, handstands, planches, whatever, for one simple reason. I will explain it while standing. Let's say when I stand, I have the toes. If I lean forward, only the toes are preventing me from falling forward. If I relax the toes, the whole structure falls. And how we do that with the toes? We use the calf muscles. The calf muscles pull my heel down, one, and because my foot is very rigid, that rigidity allows me to transfer the calf muscles pull, calf muscles force onto the floor, and I'm staying supported like this. One. The same with the hands. You place the hands down, and you need to make sure that the fingers are holding its rigidity here, that the fingers are not flexible, and the forearms pulling the rigid palm down. Without the rigidity in the fingers, when the forearms are trying to pull the wrists down and the fingers are flexing, again, there will be no transfer of power from the forearm muscle onto the fingers. So for that reason, we need to condition the muscles inside the fingers, those tiny bicepses here, which are bending the joints here. We'll be doing it shortly. To condition the fingers to stay rigid while the forearm muscles pulling on the hands, on the wrists down. And by doing so, we're making sure that the forearm, this muscle, is not going overly forward like this. Some degree, yes, but not really a lot forward. Because if you do that, and a lot of people do, you will overstretch the wrists and you will be essentially supported not by the muscular efforts, but by the structural component of your ligaments and tendons. And that is not good. That will hurt your wrists. And a lot of times I hear from you guys that when I'm doing handstands or the press to handstands, my wrists are hurting. Probably I need to stretch it more. Quite on opposite. You don't need to stretch it in the first place. They hurt because whenever you're doing the handstands, you're trying to lean forward to transfer the body weight. Yes, that's understandable. But see how my forearms are going way too much over the fingers. So now I'm lacking the structural, the muscular support from the muscles by doing this, and I'm solely relying on the structural support coming from my wrists. Just I'm essentially hanging on the end of the range of motion provided by the ligaments and tendons. And of course, after a couple of tries doing the press to handstands this way, I will hurt myself, and it will be extremely difficult to do that. So compare this. I'm going here, spine tall, all those components, all great. But as I'm trying to press with the upper trapezius here, my forearms, muscles, and fingers, they're not holding my forearms from collapsing forward, so I'm doing this. And with this, it is possible here, but it's quite planching, one. And it doesn't feel good at all, doesn't feel comfortable, just because I did not train my wrists correctly. And it's not really about training your forearm muscles. It's about the understanding of the interaction between the rigidity here and transfer of power here. We'll be doing this. So we really need to make sure, just like with the toes muscles, when we're doing this skill, you're capable with the fingers and the forearm muscles, you're capable of making sure that the forearms, as you climb up on top of your shoulders, not collapsing too much forward. So not here. And only with the support, with the ongoing support of the fingers and the forearm muscles, you can now work with the spine. You can now drag the spine with the upper trapezius up into the upright position, as I described earlier. So those two things are very important. Stability of the spine and the open shoulders, so that the spine can be dragged all the way up passively while holding in structure. And at all time, while you're performing this movement, dragging the spine up, at all time, the finger muscles and the forearm muscles supporting your shoulder spine structure, making sure that that structure is not collapsing forward all the time. That the structure of the shoulder spine stays more or less in the center of your center body line. So not collapsing forward, very important. As for the legs, at this stage, we don't really care how much compression you can you can create in the hips, how flexible you are in the hamstrings. It's later. Of course, we can improve always by improving our flexibility to make sure that we can do at least this. That would be a huge help. The legs will stay closer to the spine, so it makes the lever of the legs shorter, making the press to handstands easier. If you're lacking some flexibility with the hamstrings, no big deal, you still can do this. Just bend the knees like this while you're here, press, and it's absolutely possible to do that with the knees bent, like this. At this stage, we're not looking for perfection. Same with the compression. Remember those exercises we did, kind of 1, 2, 3. The more compression you can create, the closer you can hold your legs to the torso, the easier it is for your spine to go up. But no big deal if the compression is a little bit not there and your legs are staying a little bit further apart. It's okay. We will compensate it with your shoulder strength. That's fine. And once you got the press to handstands this way, we will be polishing it later. We will be making sure that you have more flexibility, more compression, that your toe point is good, facilitating the movement, and so on. But for now, we will be happy with this press to handstands. We will go down here. We will make sure that the fingers are holding our forearms here. We will make sure that the spinal integrity there with the support of the diaphragm. We will make sure that the shoulders open, and with the lower trapezius engaged, we'll make sure that we press correctly by doing the shrug, and that brings the torso off the floor, and we go and do this. 1. And from there, we'll be polishing this skill. Also, another misconception here that you need a lot of core in order to do handstands or press to handstands. You don't. You need as much core for this skill as you need for just standing. Like, really, it's not that important. Once your spine is in place, diaphragm in place, mild engagement of the core, we're good. And we go from there. Okay, I think now you understand how the press to handstands works, that the spine is being dragged passively into the vertical position, that for that we need support from the hands and the forearms. And we need to keep all those two components, compound components in place in order to do the successful press to handstands. Now let's see what drills we can do this, how we can train for the handstands, for the press to handstands. Let's start with the basics, the fingers and the forearms training. So we're going to stand on all fours like this. Make sure that your fingers are kind of spider fingers, which are slightly pushed in here, like we do for the handstands. So place the fingers on the floor and push them a little bit in. 1, 2, 3, everywhere. So they're a little bit like this, spider fingers. And we're going to do simple press with the forearms, trying to transfer the force created by the forearm muscles through the fingers onto the floor so that we can lift the upper body off the floor a little bit. Very important not to do that in a cheating way, kind of. A lot of times we do this. Move back, press, because it's easy. Move back, press. No, that would not work. We would like to keep the shoulders over the fingers to make sure that we are actually lifting the torso with the efforts from the forearm transferred through the tightness of the finger muscles. That's the whole point. So we don't want to lean back. We don't want to lean forward too much. We don't want to push the shoulders forward in order to cheat. That's no support here. We don't want to press the shoulders down. We don't want to crunch. We don't want to do anything of those extra movements. Just take the open spine position, spine tall, rib cage support and shoulders open, fingers on the floor, and push the palm down with the forearm muscles, looking straight ahead. 10 reps, 2 sets. Ready? Let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and rest. Good. At all time you can keep the thumb in the air. We don't really need the thumb. The main job is coming from these 3 fingers. Let's do it one more time. No cheating, no leaning back, no lean forward. During the entire rep, during the entire set, you're thinking tall spine, rib cage supported, open shoulders. Tall spine, rib cage supported by the diaphragm, open shoulders. One more time. 10 reps and go. Rib cage, tall spine, open shoulders, press. 1, 2, 3, tall spine. 4, rib cage. 5, open shoulders. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and done. Great. And we're going to finalize this by holding it for 30 seconds. Do your best. If it's too difficult for you, okay, you can lean a little bit more back. So find the position in which you can hold the body supported by the rigidity of the fingers and engagement of the forearm muscles. If it's too difficult, then lean back. If you feel that it's too easy, then good for you. You can always do this support a little bit, just like this. But that's difficult, too much we don't need it, really. We just need to mildly condition the fingers and the forearm. Don't go for the extreme variation of this exercise. We don't need extreme, we need just light support. So let's try to hold it for 30 seconds. Tall spine, rib cage expanded, shoulders open, go up and hold, thumbs in the air. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. Rest. Good. You should feel very good tension inside the fingers, some work from the forearms, and no pain in the wrists, most importantly. If there is pain, then something needs to be adjusted. That is the first one, very important one. The second one, let's make sure that we know how to shrug. Shrugging is actually tricky. So as you know, we have lower trapezius, mid trapezius, upper trapezius. Look what's going to happen when we think about the shrugs as the activity of shoulders going up. So I'm standing like this, all good, and I'm just thinking shoulders up. See how my shoulders are dragged forward? It's because in this case I utilized only the upper trapezius, and the upper trapezius is attached to my skull here and to the shoulders here. So they pull kind of a little bit up to the ears. And if that activity, the shrugs, are done exclusively by the upper trapezius, then the shoulders will most certainly be dragged into the collapse. 1, here forward, 2, 3, 4. Essentially, we don't want to think shoulders up because there is no opportunity for the shoulder to go directly up like this, because the trapezius are pulling the clavicles just like this to the ear. So first of all, we don't want to think up. Instead, we want to think. First, let's make sure that our shoulders are narrowed. Like picture that somebody came to you from behind and squeezed your shoulders a little bit to make sure that we engage the mid trapezius, which are pulling perpendicular to the spine here. 1. It's not the squeeze of the blades, because if you think squeeze of the blades, you will be doing this. Those muscles are rhomboids. We don't really need them at this point, not at all. We just need to make sure that first we're narrowing the shoulders with the mid trapezius. 1. And with the mid trapezius still engaged, we're thinking now the upper trapezius, gliding our shoulders kind of at 45 degrees to the spine, to the back of the head. 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. And if you do that correctly in this way, thinking narrow the shoulders first, glide to the back of the skull. 2. Narrow, glide up diagonally to the back of the head. Then this is your shoulders. You can see how my arm is still directed this way. So if with this shrug I will bring my arm, up, then the arm will go in one line with the torso. But if I think shoulders up, just up, then chances are I will be activating only the upper trapezius, and I will be doing this shrug. 1, 2, 3. You can see those shrug often in the gym. 1, 2, 3, all forward. With this shoulder, if I bring the arm up, I will get stuck here. And that will bring, if you do that, the press to handstands this way with the upper trapezius only, that will collapse your entire body into the crunch position, and you will be having that planche-like press. So it's very important to make sure that you're thinking about the shrugs. Mid trapezius, narrowing the shoulders first, and after upper trapezius, dragging it diagonally down, diagonally up to the skull. 1, 2, 3, 4. And mid trapezius stays engaged at all time when the upper trapezius engages. And now you know how to do shrugs. Let's make sure that we do the shrugs correctly. For that, grab the band. If you don't have a band, you can do that without it. It's okay. So you're standing on the band, stepping on the band like this. Adjust the spine, expansion of the ribcage, shoulders open, and let's do 10 reps. 2 sets, 10 reps. We're going to narrow the shoulders first, drag it up. 1, narrow drag. 2, 3, 4. Tall time, keeping the spine tall. 5. Ribcage expanded. 6, 7, 8, 9. Hold it for 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rest. Great. That's how you do the shrugs. You're using mid trapezius, upper trapezius. Now, let's try to get a feel of spine being dragged by the lower trapezius a little bit back. Remember how I mentioned when you do the shrug, when you press in the shoulders up, the lower trapezius should keep the tension in itself so that it can transfer that shrug onto the spine and pull the spine a little bit back. Now we're trying to get that sensation. So you're standing like this, and you're opening the shoulders, engaging the lower trapezius, and pushing the armpits forward. Now from this position, you think narrow the shoulder, and after up. 1. And see how my pelvis went a little bit back. I'm not faking it. I'm not doing just shrug, and after I'm doing some sort of hip hinge or bending the knees or to fake it. Nope, you should stay relaxed with the legs, relaxed with the body, more or less, but with keeping the spine tall, ribcage supported by the diaphragm. And you should feel that mild pull on the spine with the shrug. Let's do 10 reps like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and done. Rest. No worries if you don't feel it for the first time. That's fine. Give it a couple of tries. and you will start feeling that pull. But that's crucial. That component is very important. Again, no faking. All the transfer of the force is done through the activation of the lower trapezius, mid trapezius, upper trapezius, and the spine is dragged a little bit back. No worries, you will get it. Let's do the next one. Let's try to feel the elevation of the spine done with the upper trapezius, lower trapezius engagement while in the plank. So we're going to take the plank position like this, spine tall, rib cage expanded, fingers are rigid to prevent the collapse of the shoulders forward, just like we did during the first drill here. And shoulders open, kind of you're pressing the shoulders a bit down diagonally to the tailbone and armpits forward. And from here, you're narrowing the shoulders first, 1, and diagonally to the diagonally up to the head, 1, 2. And you can see how my spine is being dragged a little bit up, sort of crunching. But again, I'm not faking it, I'm not crunching, because if I try to just shrug without the lower trapezius engaged, I will be doing just like this. So no transfer of the force created by the shrugging, spine just not moving anywhere. And of course, I know that Maxim told me that the spine should do this. Well, you can do that by other means, by crunching. And you'll be attempting to do this 1, 2, crunch, crunch. That's different. You really need to feel the mild elevation of the spine while the spine is tall, supported by the rib cage, core engaged, and the muscles are dragging you a little bit up. Yes, you might feel some variation of crunching, but you're not exaggerating it. You're just letting the upper trapezius drag the spine up by transferring its force through the lower trapezius. So yes, in a way we're doing two opposite movements. We're dragging the shoulders down and up at the same time. But you see how it works. If the upper trapezius goes that way and the lower trapezius is not holding its tension, then it stretches and there will be no transfer of force from the upper trapezius onto the spine. There will be no lift, so you will try to fake it somehow with the core or leg press. We don't want it. Let's do two sets, 10 reps. So staying here, looking straight ahead, spine tall, diaphragm expanded, ribs kind of tucked in, core engaged, and you go open shoulders, narrowing up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and rest. Good. You do not try to help with the legs. You're not pushing the floor down. You're not going on the toes. You just kind of relax a little bit. Use that concept relaxation under the tension. I will talk about these concepts in my next videos. But shortly, you're trying to relax as much as you can without losing the form, so that the brain will disconnect all unnecessary muscles that might be engaged for no avail whatsoever, sparing the body's resources. Let's do it one more time. Most importantly, focus on the concept. Mid trapezius, upper trapezius engages, and through the lower trapezius tension drags the spine up. Super important for this skill. And any other skills, planches, any other torso support on the rings is done exactly the same way. Because what else we have there to support the spine hanging in the air? Essentially, not so many muscles there. Let's do it one more time. So here, spine tall, rib cage expanded, shoulders open, and now narrow the shoulders, up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and done. Now, small demonstration. When the rib cage collapses with this, there is no diaphragm support, then the core will be supporting this movement, whether you want it or not. It will engage, and it will easily collapse you down, like this. Here, no diaphragm, completely deflated, and I'm doing this 1, 2, 3. You see how the upper mid trapezius are doing their job. They're transferring the power through the tight lower trapezius, but when you drag the spine up, the core engages and crunches you, so the lower spine, the pelvis, goes down. So the more you press, the more you drop down. That's not good for the press to handstands. That will present us with the dilemma. The more you press, the more I go down. You will be thinking, I need to press more, but the more you press, the lower you go with the lower torso. So essentially you will get stuck while your face is really red because you're pressing so hard, but the more you press, the lower you go with the lower body, simply because you have no support from the diaphragm and the spinal structure is collapsing. You're wasting your energy fighting your own body. So make sure that you really got the spine rigid, diaphragm supported, upper middle trapezius pulling this way, lower trapezius holds its tension, spine is nicely elevated with the pelvis up, just like this way, and the torso is not dropping down. Next one. Now we're going to work with the muscles of the shoulders to make sure that the shoulders are capable of bringing the arm all the way up in one line with the torso. And that should be done with the coordination of the tall spine supported by the diaphragm, the forearm muscles pulling on the fingers, and the shrug is done properly. So the spine has some support from the upper trapezius. Let me demonstrate first, and after we will attempt 2 sets, 10 reps. So you will find the wall, you go here quite close to the wall, this position here. Make sure that all the places in, all these things are in place here. And you bring the arms back and press with the trapezius a bit more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So notice that when I was pressing with the arms, my torso was not just simply pushed onto the wall. If anything, my torso went a little bit up and over the wall. Why it happened? Because I engaged my upper trapezius, and upper trapezius were dragging on my spine. So this is my torso here. Upper trapezius was trying to push the shoulders down. Lower trapezius held its tension, and my spine did this: 1, press, 2, press, 3. Without the upper trapezius in coordination with the lower trapezius, your body, when you press with the shoulders onto the arms, your body will move just like this to the wall. 1, 2. There will be no movement up and away, up and away. And we need this movement up and away. So the movement we don't like here is this. When you go up, you go and you just simply press arms behind the head. 1, 2, 3. You see how my lower trapezius are not engaged, therefore there is no transfer of power from the mid-upper trapezius. Even if I press hard, it's not going to work successfully, versus keep the spine, diaphragm, shoulders open, and I'm pressing 1, 2, 3. So you saw how my lower trapezius made sure that tension was there, spine, and I successfully took the entire torso almost off the floor, off the wall, in this fashion, versus just collapsing and pressing it with the shoulder muscles into the wall. So very important to make sure that the shoulder muscles are working in cooperation with the upper, mid, lower trapezius spine. Otherwise, you'll be just training the shoulder muscles. You'll be developing the strength of the front delts and side delts and back delts, but to no avail. You will not be connecting it into the skills. So let's try to do this exercise for 2 sets, 10 reps each, really focusing on the movement of the torso up and away from the wall as you press with the shoulders. Doesn't have to be much, doesn't have to be like perfect. Just get that feel of spine being supported by the upper trapezius, lower trapezius, mid trapezius, shoulder muscles, up and down, up and down. That's your elevating force for the spine. Let's do it. 10 reps. So go here, quite close, all those things, and press. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and rest. Good. As for the legs, you're just trying to make sure the toes are nicely pointed, legs are slightly rigid, so they're not wobbly, otherwise they might be disturbing the structure. So keep the legs mildly tight, reach into the ceiling, and you'll be fine. Let's do it one more time. Again, extremely important to feel the interaction of the shoulder and upper back muscles press. Shoulder muscles making sure that the arm can be brought all the way back without the collapse of the shoulders, otherwise no luck. And the upper trapezius, mid trapezius, lower trapezius, making sure that we're doing the shrug in a very proper way, so that cooperation of these muscles, shoulder, upper back muscles, will give us nice pull on the spine. So we do this 1, 2, 3, not just 1, 2, 3. That would be useless. Let's do it one more time. Here, back, and remember, you're shrugging with first narrowing the shoulders, and after pulling the shoulders diagonally up relative to your spine to the back of the skull. Ready? And go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and rest. Good. Don't be concerned about the alignment of the body, tucking the rib cage. It's okay for now. I want you to feel that nice elevation you can produce with the shrug, combined with the shoulder activation, combined with the lower trapezius, combined with the spine tall, with the rib cage supported, and shoulders open. Very important. Let's move on. Let's make sure that we can put all those engagement, shoulder muscles, upper trapezius, mid trapezius, lower spine, rib cage, hip compression, legs tight, under the dynamic circumstances. So we're going to do this simple drill, walking into the pike from the plank with the legs and straddle. So we go down like this, placing the legs here, creating all those things, tall spine, rib cage, shoulders open. And as you walk, you start narrowing the shoulders, pressing the shoulders up by using the upper trapezius properly, not letting the tension in the lower trapezius go. So spine becomes elevated. At all times support it with the hands, and go as close as possible, trying to elongate the spine as much as possible. And back. 1. That's kind of walking into the pike position. Don't be fast. It's really all about putting all those cues together as you walk. You're narrowing the shoulders. 1. Diagonally up to the skull. That's how you're getting support from the shoulders. At the same time, you're not letting the tension in the mid trapezius go. That's how the spine becomes more elevated. At the same time, your fingers and the forearms making sure that you're not collapsing forward. At the same time, your shoulders a little bit facilitating by opening the armpits a little bit more the closer you go to the torso. At the same time, you're not letting the spine collapse into the complete crunch. Keep the diaphragm. Try to elongate the spine as you approach the feet. The longer the spine can become, the better. And that will require some mild compression here. As you go into the pike, picture that you're bringing the leg closer to the hands. And do that while you're walking. 10 reps. No rush, no speed required. Full attention. Upper trapezius, shoulders, rib cage, spine. Keep everything in place. Let's do 10 reps. Go here, shoulders open. Ribcage supported with the diaphragm, and go. 1. Good. Compress the hips, back. Good. Go on the toes, on the toes, on the toes. Stay supported on the hands, not like this. That's fake. On the hands. So all the body mass sits on the hands. 2. Shrug, supported on the hands. 3. Good. Shrug, compress the hips. 4. No rush. Shrug, ribcage expanded. Good. 5. Ribcage expanded. 6. Good. Press the floor away. Press, press, press. 7. Good. Ribcage expanded. Spine tall. 7, 8. Good. Ribcage expanded. Spine tall. 9. Good. Spine tall. Ribcage expanded. 10. Rest. Good. This one is a bit hard. It also works on the stamina. First of all, stamina of your thinking, because you might be good for keeping your focus only for the first 2-3 reps, but we need that focus to stay during the entire set of 10 reps. Good conditioning for your shoulders, good stamina, good body awareness, and so on. But you really have to stay present. It's not just the matter of walking back and forth, thinking that my shoulders somehow will figure out how to do that. As you walk on repeat in your head, you must be thinking proper shrug, narrowing the shoulders up, narrowing the shoulders up, not losing the lower trapezius. Good. Spine supported. Good. Spine tall. Rib cage inflated. Great. Hands, fingers tight, forearms supporting, shoulders pressing back, hips compressing at the end because you're going on the toes back. And you do that 10 reps like this with this thinking. It's not just you put your favorite music into your ears and just enjoy it. Maybe later on you can do this, but for now, full focus. Let's do it one more time. 10 reps. And also one small addition, it's actually very difficult when I say push the shoulders up, because now for your eyes, the up direction is kind of this way. If you try to picture narrowing the shoulders, you'll be probably doing some here, squeeze the shoulder with the trapezius, with the rhomboids, versus you're just driving the upper shoulders just like this here to the upper spine, and after you're pressing, so all the tension resides in the upper portion of your spine, not in the middle of the spine, not the rhomboids, not so much. They're of course active, but we don't want to focus on them at this point. Let's do it one more time. Go from this position, spine, rib cage, go support. 1, good. Breathe normally. Good. Spine tall. 2, spine tall, proper shrug. Good. Shoulders, don't let the open shoulders go. Lower trapezius, 4. Lower trapezius, 5. Good. Lower trapezius engaged. 6. Good. Spine tall. Good. I believe it's 7. I might be missing some counting. 8. Good. 8. Lower trapezius, spine tall, rib cage expanded. Good. 9. Good. Done. Rest. Perfect. You survived. That's a good cardio too. Next one. You will love this one. So now we're going to do similar exercise, just like we did in the previous one. Only we're going to stay in that position and try to get a mild elevation of the feet off the floor by pressing with proper shrugs into the floor and all those things in place. So let me demonstrate what it looks like. So you go down, you can bend the knees. If the flexibility is not allowing you to keep them straight, it's okay. And we will go here, all those things in place, spine supported, open shoulders, lower trapezius, and here you just press with the mid trapezius, upper trapezius. 1, lower trapezius, 2, and trying to let the body slightly lean forward while engaging the fingers in the forearms so that you're not collapsing completely like this as you press with the upper mid trapezius, so that will allow your spine to hang a little bit in the air. Therefore, the feet will go slightly up. You're not thinking, I want my feet up, because if you do, you will be jumping or doing some awkward things. Just like this here, 1, 2, or here, and the legs up. Keep in mind, the feet are passively brought up in the air because they're attached to the end of the spine, to the lower spine. The spine keeps its rigidity, the lower trapezius rigid, the upper trapezius brings the shoulders away, transferring its force through the lower trapezius onto the spine. Your shoulders are holding the position, your fingers are holding the position, and therefore the spine is nicely tilted up, kind of forward over the shoulders, thereby bringing your straight legs or straightish legs in the air, and we really want to feel that movement. If it's not happening yet, it's okay. Just get as much close to that state as you can. No need to jump. It should happen kind of organically. Do not jump. You cannot feel the elevation of the feet. It's okay. Just do the presses. Let's do 5 reps only, 2 sets, 5 reps. You go here, spine, rib cage, open shoulders, compress the hips, and go press. Narrow the shoulders, upper trapezius, 1. Narrow the shoulders, upper trapezius, 2. Narrow the shoulders, 3. Lower spine, 4. 5. Good. So you can allow mild tilt of the spine forward. Of course, it will happen because you have very heavy legs on this side and nothing on this side. That's how you create the balance. You need to lean the torso slightly, let the torso lean slightly forward against the resistance of the fingers and the forearms in order to create the balance, because your legs are heavy, 30 kilos here on this side. You need some body mass on this side so that you're staying balanced along the midline of the body, the distribution of the weight a little bit. And see, the further the legs away from the torso, the more leaning forward you will require. That's why further on, we will need to work on the flexibility and the hip compression, flexibility of the hamstrings and the hip compression, so that we can keep the legs as closer to the hands as possible, in order not to overload the shoulders as much. But it's okay for now. If you cannot keep the feet close, you can keep them bent. That's okay. Let's do it one more time. 5. So go here. I will show you with the legs slightly bent. That it's absolutely fine. So you go here, rib cage expanded, spine tall as much as possible, and lower trapezius engaged, mid trapezius narrow and pressing. 1, 2, 3, no jumping. 4, 5, and that's it. So give it a couple of tries. You might not get that elevation from the very beginning right away, but no worries. That's why we train for press to handstands. We don't learn it because you learned about this at the very beginning. Now you need to train. It's a strength element as well. So a couple of times, a couple of tries, and you will have that elevation. We need it. And from there, we go into the press. Let's do the final drill. Let's try to put all these things together under more dynamic circumstances. So we're going to lightly jump into the press to handstands with the legs going away up and go down under control. You can find a wall and do that very closely to the wall to make sure that if you messed up, then you will land onto the wall with the feet. And with time, as the confidence grows, you can get more space from the wall and feel it. So I will show you what we're going to do without the wall. You do that with the wall, against the wall, back to the wall. Let's see. So you go here, spine tall, supported, and you're picturing legs kind of jumping, but sideways. You're not thinking up, you're thinking sideways. Jump, press. 1, control, go down. So that's what we're going to do. 2 sets, 5 reps. You can stay relaxed at the very beginning, and once you jumped, you're not thinking legs up. You're thinking legs are kind of sliding sideways, sideways, not kind of like straightening them back like this. Not thinking, okay, jump in, 1. That will give you no luck. So picture when you're here, there is a line going here, and you're trying with the feet follow that line away and in a circle up above the hips, and the same way down, around, hip compression, and go down. On the way down, that's where the magic happens. On the way down, you still not collapsing the spine. You're maintaining the spine as tall as possible, as supported as possible. Your shrug, shoulder press in place, in the correct way. Mid trapezius, squeezing the shoulders, upper trapezius, elevating it, lower trapezius here, so that that combination of the shoulder press still holds your spine in the handstand while the legs are going all the way down to the floor. We need to be strong enough to be able to hold the spine in this position while the legs are heading towards the floor. Once the legs reach the destination, we relax the spine, go down. That's why we did the previous exercise when we wanted to feel that lift and develop an ability to hold it for 5 seconds so that we're not just collapsing down. Let me show you one more time what we don't want to do on the way down. Let's say you manage to go up successfully, 1, but on the way down you do this, 1, and that would be no good for us. See how instead of letting my leg move around the hips without moving the hips, I actually move the leg sideways, and instead of continuing downward movement with the legs only, I allowed the entire torso to go forward, collapse, and the legs landed on the floor. We don't like this. So we need to make sure, again, that fingers, forearms holding us from the collapse forward. Shoulder muscles holding the arms more or less in one line with the spine. The upper trapezius, mid trapezius shrugging properly. The lower trapezius stays tense so that it can transfer the power from the upper trapezius, the force from the upper trapezius onto the spine to hold it up. That will give you the opportunity to move the legs separately around the hips all the way down, and you land there. So we need 5 dirty-ish attempts, and we will be improving on that. So let's do 5. Let's go here, upper spine, rib cage, and press. See how I did not jump? I just pressed, try to show off. Not good. Let's do light jump. 1 and down. 1 down. 2, 3, good. 4, good. 5, hold the spine, hold the spine. 6, nice. So you can squat a little bit, straighten the legs in the straddle glide, as if you're trying to kind of picture you're on a beach and you're trying to put some sand in the air by doing this. 1. That will create the momentum in the legs, and use that momentum to press. It will be very easy to get the torso up. Let's do it one more time. Now with time, as you progress with this, you'll feel more control, especially on the descent, and you will start doing it slower jump, more relying on the press. With time, even slower jump, more relying on the press, and eventually you'll come to the point where you just pressing into the handstands while holding all those components we've discussed many times already. I annoyed you with. I hope it stays in your head in place, and that will allow you to perform the press to handstands. Let's do it one more time, and we're going to try to do that slightly slower, relying more on the shoulder press. Ready? And go, lean forward. 1. Good. Light sliding motion sideways. Press. 2, 3, good. Hold. 4, 5, good. Good. No worries if you don't feel control yet. It will come, but that's how we train for the handstands. You need just to condition all those parts of the press to handstands to work together at the right timing. And trust me, your muscles are all there. Your strength is there. Your shoulders, you're stronger than me in many cases with the shoulders. I just can't put those all activities in right sequence at the right timing in place. That's why I'm doing this. And you need to try to do the same thing. And sadly, it takes time, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a month if you're consistent. 2-3 times per week you can try this training as a cool down or warm up, and you will be fine. Most importantly, try to slow down on the way down. Try to take the downward movement under as much control as possible. You can jump quite actively, but on the way down, as the legs are going down, you keep thinking, first of all, spine tall, supported, lower trapezius engaged, mid upper trapezius pressing, shoulders open, fingers holding you from collapsing, and you're just, with the isolated movement of the leg, moving the leg around the hip, not with the hip on the way down. So it looks approximately like this. Let's say you got up from this position here, hold it, and you go legs away. Do that slower, slower. Hold the spine, 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 hold. Slower down. Of course, you will feel some lean forward, but that lean is happening against the very active resistance from the hands and the forearms. Otherwise, you'll be just collapsing forward because, of course, you have the mass of the legs being distributed from the right above the torso to the front of the torso. Now, in order to create the balance, of course, you need something on this side. And this something is represented by the very mild tilt. And depending on how flexible you are in the hamstrings, can you bring the legs close to the torso? Then you will be tilting less. The legs are staying more away from the torso, then you will be tilting more. But it's still possible to do that, just you will need more strength in the shoulders, and that's absolutely fine. So after you got successful with these press to handstands, this is the final stage. After you can do mild up and mild down, you should come to the point where you just go in this position, you go and on the toes, up, 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 press, 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 still press, still press, still press, done. So once you're at this point, that's where you can start polishing your press to handstands. You start working on straighter legs, more toe point, more flexibility, more hip flexors, or you can actually work on this at the same time. But all those components, it's mostly parts of the gymnastics conditioning. That's why I did not include all those exercises into these drills, because otherwise it would have been a very long video. Gymnastics conditioning is supporting all the skills we're doing. More flexibility, more compression, more spinal alignment, more ribcage supported, and etc. These 7 exercises covered the basics of the press to handstands mechanics. And I hope that you got the idea of all those components. I know it's a lot. Please let me know what you think. Let me know how it worked out for you. I'm really curious. And I wish you luck with this challenging but very rewarding skill. Thank you very much for your attention. Trainer Maxim with you. Ask questions if anything was unclear. I'm always happy to help. But otherwise, go enjoy your day. Bye-bye, everyone. Cheers.